The Canadian passport is one of the strongest passports in the world. It lets you travel a lot of countries without requiring any visa at all. That said, a common question is, how do I get a Canadian passport? How do I become a Canadian? Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Dhruv. I am a regulated Canadian immigration consultant. At our firm Effizient Inc, we help prospective immigrants with their immigration procedures to Canada. If you have any questions or would like to know about your immigration procedures or immigration prospects, you can contact us. The contact information is right here on the screen. In this video, we're going to talk about Canadian citizenship, what are the eligibility requirements, and what is the application process. With Canadian citizenship, with a Canadian passport, you can travel United States, you can travel almost everywhere in Europe, Australia, Japan, most of the developed world, and a lot of the other countries as well. Now let's start with talking about the eligibility. In order to become a Canadian, you need to be physically present in Canada as a permanent resident for 3 years in the last 5 years. That means you need to be physically present in Canada as a permanent resident for 1095 days in the last 5 years preceding the date you sign the application. Now there is a slight exception to this rule. For all those folks who came to Canada as temporary residents in the beginning, you have a nice opportunity here, and that is you can count up to 1 year of presence as temporary residents towards your citizenship requirement. Now here it gets a little technical. The way you count is for every day that you lived in Canada as a temporary resident, that could be on a student visa, on a work visa, etc., you will count half of that. So for example, if you stayed in Canada as a temporary resident for 1 year, you can count 6 months towards the requirement for citizenship. If you have lived in Canada for 2 years as a temporary resident, you can count 1 year towards the requirement for citizenship. Now, if you have lived in Canada for more than 2 years, for example, for 3 years, then you can still only count 1 year of physical presence towards your citizenship. You can count up till a max of 1 year as a temporary resident. You cannot count anything more than 1 year. A lot of you guys who came as students, you've been in the country for 2, 3, 4 years. Oftentimes you study for 2 years as a student, and then on work permit you have stayed in Canada for 2, 3 years. Maybe you've been here for 5 years as a temporary resident. However, you can only count 1 year towards your citizenship requirement. So if you landed in Canada as a permanent resident, you have to stay 3 years in the last 5 years, 1095 days, in order to be eligible for citizenship. If you have lived in Canada as a temporary resident and you became a permanent resident, then oftentimes after 2 years as a permanent resident, you will become eligible for Canadian citizenship. This is the main requirement towards Canadian citizenship. The other requirement is that you need to prove your language abilities. For that, either you can provide an IELTS exam result. This exam result could be more than 2 years old as well. For citizenship application, IRCC accepts older IELTS exam results as well. Other than that, you can provide proof of education in English. So if you had education in Canada, you can provide proof of that. Or if you had education outside of Canada, but the medium of your education was English, you can use that as a proof towards your citizenship application. Now that we have talked about physical presence and language requirements, another important requirement is that you should not have any sort of inadmissibility to Canada. What that means is if oftentimes you've had any criminal past or you've involved yourself in serious criminality, that can hinder your process to becoming a Canadian. This won't apply to most of you, so if in case this is something you're concerned about, then it's best that you seek some advice of lawyers or consultants so that you can understand your path forward and try to navigate the process of citizenship without any hassle. Given that you have met the eligibility requirements, how to apply for Canadian citizenship? The application for Canadian citizenship can be done through the Canadian Citizenship Portal. IRCC launched this new portal, the Citizenship Portal. In there, you can create your account and fill in your application online. As a part of the citizenship application, You will fill in all your personal information and upload the required docs to prove your language proficiency, to prove your identity. You need a photograph for citizenship application as well, and you will provide your physical presence information. What that means is you will list all your absences from Canada, and that would be used to determine whether you have met the requirement of physical presence in Canada. The requirement is what we talked in the beginning of the video, that is 1095 days in the last 5 years. Another part of citizenship application and a requirement is that you should have filed taxes in Canada in the past. So as a part of this application, you will provide consent to IRCC to directly obtain your tax records from the CRA. An important requirement is that you should have filed taxes. So make sure that you file your taxes regularly every year so that you don't have any issues when applying for Canadian citizenship. Once you complete the application, you will pay the citizenship application fee. The application fee is $630 for an adult. Now, what happens after you have submitted your citizenship application? Once the submission is done, IRCC will process your application, and there are two things that will happen throughout this process. The first thing is going to be an invitation for citizenship test. If you are above the age of 18 and you are below the age of 54, you will receive an invitation to citizenship test. The citizenship test is a basic test which tests your information about Canada. And to prepare for this test, IRCC provides this booklet, Discover Canada. You basically have to go through this. There are tons of online resources just to practice questions. There is Apna Toronto, and there are other online free tests available. Once you do those, you become pretty much prepared for this test, and upon passing this test, you will move on to the next step. The citizenship test comprises of 20 questions, and out of those 20 questions, you at least need 15 of them to be correct in order to pass the test. These days, the test is done online, so you will receive a link, and you would go on that link and you would do the test. At present, IRCC gives you 3 chances to do the test. So for example, if you start doing the online test and cannot pass it in the first chance, you still have 2 more chances to clear the test and to proceed to the next step. Once you have passed the test, the next step is usually an oath ceremony invitation. Before the oath ceremony, it's possible that IRCC may request an interview. This happens in some cases, so just so you know, it is possible. It's not very common, but could happen. If everything goes well, you would be invited for the citizenship oath ceremony. Again, these ceremonies are also mostly held virtually these days. So in that ceremony, basically, you would log in and join virtually, and a citizenship judge will give you the oath, make you take the oath of citizenship. And once you have taken that oath, you will become Canadian citizen. Now, once you have completed the oath, the citizenship certificate will be sent to you via mail. So it could take a couple of weeks or a little more than that for the certificate to come in mail. Once you have the certificate, you can go ahead and apply for your Canadian passport. With the passport, your journey to being a Canadian and traveling the world has come to an end. Hopefully, this video gave you some idea about how to apply for Canadian citizenship and how to know that you are eligible, how to apply, and what kind of process you would encounter when you apply. To summarize, you need 1095 days of physical presence in the last 5 years. If you have lived as a temporary resident, you can count maximum to 1 year towards your physical presence, and for counting 1 year, you must have lived in Canada for 2 years as a temporary resident. Then only you can count 1 year, because only half a day for every day lived as a temporary resident counts towards your physical presence for Canadian citizenship. Once you're eligible, you do the application. You can do it online through the IRCC citizenship portal. The application is submitted. IRCC will process it, invite you for a test, and following the test, you will get the oath ceremony. So that's it for today, guys. I hope this video was helpful. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you are notified about any new video that we upload. If you need any help or assistance in becoming Canadians, you can contact us. Again, the contact information is on the screen here. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.